Are you really listening to this podcast all by yourself? Share it with the homies. Hit that subscribe button.
Smash that button.
Smash the button. Listen to the Climate Podcast with all your friends. Let's get right into the episode. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Climate Podcast. Today we have the GOAT, the man, the myth, the legend, BRORYYY the Glory. Welcome to the podcast.
Woo.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, everyone. For those of you who don't know who BRORYYY is, and if you don't, what are you doing with your life? Mr. Wallace right here was our CPSA gym teacher, CPSA basketball coach, CPSA head of the athletic department. Mr. All Around, best coach I've ever had, probably best teacher I've ever had. Like that, he's just the GOAT. I would tell you.
The GOAT, the GOAT.
So Ibrahim, I'm gonna hand it off to you first. He was your coach back in high school. If you were to give him a performance review right now, what are you doing? What are you saying?
10 out of 10, man. I remember. One of the things that I remember from aside from coaching was his shoe game. The man always had the cleanest kicks.
Never dirty, never creased.
Yeah, always had some clean kicks. And his jump shot was probably just as wicked and just as clean. But I remember him being my senior year, he was our coach. And I remember we were sitting in study hall and he was asking the senior boys, how many of you have played on the team before? And I think it was only me and Muji. And he just like looked at us, and usually it's kind of known who's making the team, but he just looked at us and was like, all right, I'll see you guys in tryouts. You guys will make the team. Like, it was just like very laid back, really chill, I remember. That was really his coaching style too, man. Really laid back, really chill, but learned a lot from him. So, yeah.
So, Mr. Wallace, I wanted to ask you, because correct me if I'm wrong, but like CPSA was your first like big teaching experience, also big coaching experience as well. What was that like? Like, what were you prepared for versus what actually happened?
Well, my only experience, like assistant coaching, just like any coaching experience, has been public school. So going into that, it was some students had a ton of interest, some didn't care, some never played before. So I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't that. So when I got there, obviously I wanted to know, who could play, who wanted to play. And very quickly I found out what I was dealing with. In my first year, so Ibrahim's senior year, they had some good players. That junior, senior year, they were good. We didn't win as much as we should have.
Lombard College prep, baby.
But again, I mean, that goes, like, you have one of your questions about public school versus private school.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's as clear and cut as that. Yeah. It's about like the support you get from like admin and the board and all that.
Yeah,
like,
we're not talking about that.
But I'm just saying, like, is there money there? Do we have assistant coaches? Do we have somewhere to play other than the CPSA gym? And eventually we got that, but it wasn't. Well, Ibrahim was there.
Oh my God.
Man.
Yeah.
Real quick side note is you brought up the fact that we didn't really have a focus on the athletic program. That's something that Jamina's mom, who's the principal, not the acting principal, I don't care what the title is, she's the principal.
For sure. Right?
Yeah. She's been telling me how her and a bunch of other people are trying to push the board to create this athletic program and to be proud of it, because CPSA is already known for its academics. So for them to be pushing for that will make it a two-headed monster. So I just want to throw that in there real quick.
Yeah, that's
true. Absolutely. She was the number one fan of all athletics at that school from day one. I went to her every day to talk sports. She was amazing. Yeah. And that school definitely would not be the same without her as a principal.
Yeah. If she left, I think it would take them years to recover. What was I going to say? I remember the first time I ever saw Mr. Wallace. It was probably in my second day of 8th grade. I walk upstairs. I don't even know if Mr. Wallace remembers this, but he was just sitting outside the office. I walk up, I'm like, what the hell is this white guy here? Is he here for maintenance or something? So, yo, what's up? Walk away. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's my gym teacher. And rest was history. We had the best gym class, watched the best Netflix series. And one thing I quickly realized is that Mr. Wallace is not a scrub when it comes to basketball.
Facts.
He is a baller shot caller. That was one thing I definitely quickly realized. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot right here. Were there any students that you thought were actually like better than you? Like if you at your 100% and versus their 100%, like you're like, yeah, this guy's better than me.
Amon on a good day,
Okay.
probably. And that's the only person I thought at the time until we did the one of those basketball tournaments that we did every couple of months for some reason.
Yeah.
When I poached one of Ibrahim's players to create a super team, and then Ibrahim came in and single-handedly took down my super team with that floater. We couldn't stop it, and I knew that day he was probably the best player at the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ibrahim, he was not like a flashy scorer. He didn't really, to be honest, he wasn't even like, he didn't score a lot either. But when he needed to, he did. He was not really like a ball hog and stuff. He just did it.
Actually, I forgot about it until right now, thinking about Ibrahim playing point guard against
with Lacey. Hell
yes.
Yeah.
So he decided to play point guard, went up, took a floater three and sunk it. And I'm like, all right, man, we need to calm down a little bit. Next possession went up, floater three, hit it again. So it took a long time for me to realize how good he was as a player. But I mean, he was so focused on defense and rebounding, and that's what I knew him as.
Yeah.
We had a lot of weapons for scoring, and apparently he was one that I didn't know about until the end of the season.
Sleeping on me, coach. Sleeping on me.
Honest review. I'm gonna put myself on the spot here. What did you think of me? Be as honest as possible. I don't even care.
8th grade year. So my first year there, I thought you were good. You had that 7th grade team with you was really good.
Yeah.
Going into high school, you very quickly left basketball behind to focus on everything else.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I talked to your mom about. I was like, I was really disappointed that you were like, I think your freshman year you still played.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like you and Solomon still played.
Yeah.
But you stopped caring really about improving in basketball.
Yeah.
So you were always fun to play with in class. As far as like being on the team, it wasn't your thing after 8th grade year.
Yeah, that is true.
Real quick, can we talk about why you took me out of the game in Lacey? Am I allowed to bring up the reason, or are we not talking about this on live?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on.
There's gotta be a statute of limitations eventually, but not right now.
We'll talk about it off camera. I got you.
What? I didn't know there was a little going on.
No, we don't bring that up.
What's your best memory as a coach?
There's a couple. My first coaching job, or the first game, was against Universal. We won. I was like, yeah, that's it. We got a good team.
Yeah,
we're going. I think we won one more game that entire season. So it started off great.
Wait, was this against is this when we had the buzzer beater? When we had the full court buzzer half court buzzer beater?
No.
I think that was the year before.
Yeah, that was the year before me.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we went to Universal and we won that first game. I don't remember what the score was, but it seemed like we easily won that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then winning the championship game with the middle school. That was the following year.
Yeah.
They won.
Yeah, because it was Imad's team, right?
Yeah, Imad's 8th grade year.
Jeez. So my next question is a 2-part question. One is because I know you played basketball growing up against Evan Turner and probably some other good players as well. So the first part of my question is, who is the best player you've ever played against? And the second part is, who is the best player you've seen on the court?
Okay. Evan Turner was a good player, but when I played against him, he was still like my size. He didn't hit his growth spurt until high school. So he was like 5'11" when I played against him. He was a good player, above average for that age level. But the best player was, I think his name was Justin Brown, something like that. His dad was Randy Brown for the Bulls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So his basketball IQ was off the charts. So he was just like on another level from people his age. I think he ended up going on to play like college football or something.
Dang.
But yeah, I think that was the same year I played against Evan Turner, and this kid was better than anybody else in the league at the time.
Oh, wow. All right. What about best player you've seen? Whether it was you're coaching and you see this player, or maybe even you went to a game and you saw a crazy performance.
As a coach, the best player I saw was actually, what was that school that just came in?
Mulder?
Chesterton.
Oh, Chesterton.
Chesterton. They had like 12 players or like 12 students their first year.
Yeah.
But their second year, they had a sophomore who I think he's like a point guard, but he was like 6'5".
Yeah.
He was the first person to dunk against us.
Man.
After all this time, I was like, yeah, my last coaching year, we finally got dunked on.
Yeah.
But he was a sharpshooter. I mean, he's like 6'4", 6'5", a shooter, dunker, passer. So best person I coached against. He was tough. We had nobody against him.
Yeah, I remember that guy because I think I was taking score that game. I don't even know why I was taking score, but I just see this kid demolishing us. He's like crossing everyone over. No one's even stopping him, even in the slightest. I'm like, this guy is ridiculous. I don't know. That's crazy, man.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of watching Mr. Wallace play against Mayman's class in gym.
Oh my God.
The one memory that like I keep having of this man is when he was it Mayman or was it Rick's brother that he tackled for his shoe?
Rick's brother. Rick's brother.
I only remember that because Mustafa sent that to me on Snapchat probably 3 times a year.
Yeah.
He recorded it and then he sent it to me all the time.
Dude, I don't know who sent it to me, but I have that video of you it's just a video of you just like harassing
definitely Mustafa. Mustafa definitely sent you that.
Yeah, you have like one shoe on, you're just harassing him. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, he stole my shoe.
Have you ever like been so pissed at a student you're just like, you know what? I'm done with you. I guess in the realm of basketball. I'm
about to risk it all.
Like, yeah, you're literally like, I'm about to risk my job right now, but it's not worth it.
As a coach or as a teacher?
You know what? Both. We got time.
Never as a coach. I think everybody kind of knew their roles. As a teacher, it was definitely a lot closer. I don't want to name names, but there was a student who he made me pretty mad one day specifically. I don't even remember what he did, but it was like I questioned it. Like the closest I've ever been to hitting a student, I think.
What?
Not really. Like I never would really do that, but it was I don't remember what he did at the time, but it just made me so mad.
Makes you question all your life choices. Like, why did I do this, dude? Why did I do this to myself?
No, and what's funny about it is, like, I never had a problem with this student. Like for the 5 years I've been there, I knew he was there for the entire 5 years I was there, and we had a good relationship. It was just like one day, it was like I don't remember what he did, but yeah, it was bad.
Okay. So speaking of getting angry, as you probably know, things can get heated on the basketball court. What is the craziest smack talk story you've seen or heard or witnessed?
So one just that I've heard would be so like a Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like you've probably seen it where it was like would the Lakers this year be able to beat the 90s Bulls?
Yeah.
And he said the Bulls would win by like 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah.
He said, oh, only 2 or 3. He's like, yeah, well, we're like 60 years old now.
That's true.
You know, I was like, that's definitely a Michael Jordan thing to say.
For
Yeah.
real.
But somebody trash talking to me was probably like Abdullah Marzuki,
Oh
only
my
because he would trash talk anything. He would trash talk checkers, like like football, basketball, anything you're doing, he would trash talk. Not even good trash talk, just funny.
Marzuki, if you're watching this, Mr. Wallace just called you a scrub.
No, I said the trash talk wasn't good. I didn't say he wasn't good.
My man was trash talking who would go up the stairs first.
So there's one thing that it stood out to me that I don't even know if any gym teachers do this, but you decided one day when we were in 8th grade to get a chook ball set. What do you think was a better go-to for involving everyone? Because everyone in CPSA loved playing basketball. So do you think basketball was a better involving sport, or was it chook ball?
For most classes, basketball.
Yeah.
But chook ball for your class, I think your class and probably like Mayman's class,
Yeah.
just because like other than him and Ibader, nobody really cared that much about basketball, like Rafe, but they would do anything. So chook ball would get everybody else involved, the kids who didn't care about basketball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was probably one of the most fun games, and we still play that in public school. Like that's just a great game to
Oh,
play.
wow.
What game are you guys talking about? It's like handball?
Yeah, so for those listening, chook ball is this game where you have a square net and it's laying on the floor, but it's raised by like 45 degrees. And then you have like this heavy, it might be in like the weight of like a handball, and you just have to throw it against the net, and you have to throw it at an angle so that it touches the ground before the other team gets to catch it. It's like spike ball, but across an entire basketball court.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
but there's no real defense, and
Yeah.
once you throw the ball, the offense can't touch it again. I mean, we
Yeah.
changed the rules quite a bit just because we only had like 6 players at a time.
Yeah.
But real rules, there's no defense, and you can't touch the ball if you're on offense.
Yeah. If you were to build a CPSA all-star team of students, who you put on the team? Ibrahim, you can
Basketball?
participate too. Yeah, basketball.
That's tough because I didn't have
You
like
can think of
Imad and Huzaifa and all them as seniors.
Yeah.
Like them as seniors, I would probably have them up there, but I would take like Mubashir over Imad.
Mhm.
Oh man, Mubashir was cold, man.
Yeah.
He was cold.
So like just me thinking of the best players is probably like my first year
Oh wow.
with like Ibrahim. I mean, they just had a stacked team.
Yeah.
What I felt bad about was so many players were good, but were focused on like ACT prep and all these things that they didn't want to play,
Mhm.
which was to be expected at CPSA.
Yeah.
Because like, I can't even think of their names now, but there's like 4 or 5 kids in that class right behind Ibrahim's that
Yeah.
didn't play that probably should have played.
Yeah.
Definitely would have made a better team. So there's some kids who didn't even play that I'd probably put on there.
Yeah. Dang. I actually wanted to ask you about that because I remember that incident early on when we first started CPSA where a bunch of kids, I think some kids even got kicked off or they just quit because they're how frustrated they were. So like when you have a bunch of kids who are leaving the team in the pretty much when the season starts or in the middle of the season, like how do you handle that? Like what do you do?
Well, the shares leaving the team was a
Oh,
big one.
I forgot
they
that,
transferred
bro.
out. There's nothing we could have done about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
The same thing happened with Huzaifa, mid-season transferred out. But the kids who just quit the team, I found out later why they quit or didn't want to try out even. And it had nothing to do with CPSA or me as a coach. It was another player on the team they didn't want to play with.
Dang.
So
Wait, for real? I didn't even know that.
yeah, so it came down with they didn't want to play with somebody else. So that's what it ended up being about.
Dang, it's all well, we're spilling all the tea on the podcast today. Okay.
I'm not trying to name names here though. That's why.
Yeah, no, all good. And I don't want to have you incriminate yourself. So let's go to a more lighthearted topic. Um, you're not a baller for no reason. You've been playing for a long time. Where does your love of the game come from?
Yeah, I have been playing for a long time. And I think growing up near Chicago in the 90s was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Like just being able to see the Bulls all the time. You get spoiled with that because as soon as everybody left that team and they were trash, like,
It's
dang, I
depressing.
didn't know what I had till it was gone, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, so I went to like summer camps every year. And the only thing we could do really was like volleyball or basketball. So I'm on the court every day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it was just the more I played, the better I got. And then getting into middle school, I just wanted to play more. So I joined the team. All my friends joined the team, and then it just became fun. Like I'm good at it, but I'm hanging out with my friends at the same time.
Yeah. So when you got to high school, did you played high school ball, right?
I was focused more on baseball. I went out freshman year.
Yes.
Um, I did so freshman year. I went out and did basketball and football. But once I started playing travel baseball, that's when it was 100 games of baseball a year.
Yeah. I forgot baseball is probably your best sport. You got an offer from a college, didn't you?
Yeah. So my junior year, well, so starting freshman year, I went to Manuka High School,
Yeah.
played there, did well. Sophomore year, I transferred out, went to a different school, played really well there, played summer ball, travel, all that, and then transferred back to Manuka junior year. And they were telling me like, hey, we don't know why you transferred out. You'll make the team, obviously, but we don't know where we're going to put you. So I said, well, you know how good I am. Like not trying to be cocky, but it's like we have the stats. You've seen me play.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, it's a politics game. So it's like, who knows who, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So he essentially told me, you'll be on the team, but you're probably not going to play until your senior year. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to ride the bench when you know I should be playing.
Yeah.
So that's what I told him. So I stopped going. And then I got a call from a college D1 coach who told me he wants to come out and see me play, invite me down to spring training with his at their college. And I had to tell him, like, I'm done. I'm done with baseball. So there's nothing for you to come watch.
What?
So that's what it came down to. And it was just bad timing because if I just stayed on that team, who knows what would have happened. Actually, I do know what happened. That team won the championship, the national championship, my freshman year.
The national championship?
Yeah.
What? Wait.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, like, why did you decide to just call it quits? Is it because you wouldn't play you? You just said forget it?
Yeah, because I dealt with them, the same people, my freshman year. And I understood my freshman year, I had to prove myself.
Yeah.
So I did that. So they saw how good I was. They wanted me to play on their summer team. I did. I didn't like the coach sophomore year, so I went somewhere else.
Yeah.
I came back junior year, and they were mad that I left sophomore year. That's what it came down to. So they're like, yeah, we don't know what happened sophomore year. I was like, well, you could talk to the coach that I played for and find out what happened, but
Yeah.
I wasn't going to deal with them again.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was playing travel ball. So it's like, I was still playing 100 games a year.
Yeah.
And then I got sick of it.
So looking at how far you've made it now and where you are now and how far you've come, do you have any regrets? Now we're getting deep here. I'm asking, I'm asking an existential question.
That's any regrets? No, because if I went on and played in college, like it would have been completely different. My life would be completely different than where I am now. And I wouldn't really change what I'm doing now. Like I love teaching. Everything would have been, I would have lived in a different state and never met anybody from CPSA or Champaign, anything like that. So no, I don't have any regrets about that.
So what I wanted to ask you, because I was just thinking in my head how I just very naturally call you Brory. Do you want to explain the story of how you got the nickname Brory the Glory? Do you remember the story?
I would like for you to tell because you're the one. I think were you the one who started that?
No, it was Salman.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so we were in our health class, the class that we always used to watch like Netflix documentaries and stuff like that.
Health class?
Yeah, dude, we had a health class. We used to watch like health documentaries and stuff like that. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. You don't know Bo. Oh man.
Oh,
It
oh, you're
was,
one you
to be
don't know,
fair,
Bo?
it was it was a real health class
Yeah.
until I found out that nobody in the admin considered it a real class. So I had lesson plans, I had everything ready for it to be a real health class. And then anytime they needed a classroom, they're like, Mr. Wallace, take your class outside, play some sport, do something, get out of here. So like I guess it's not a real class then.
You
Yeah.
started to catch on. You're like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
I noticed that eventually. Okay, so Salman, for some reason, we used to call all the male teachers brother and all the female teachers sister. Well, some of them, but the male teachers we used to call brother. And obviously, Mr. Wallace, being this guy who's never been in a Muslim school before, is like, why you call me brother? Just call me Mister, whatever. And like we just called him Brother Rory. I used to call him Brother Rory. I started that part. But so mom was like, let's call him Brory. And Mr. Wallace was like, no, you're not calling me that. He goes, we can't call you like Brory the Glory. He goes, no. And everyone wanted to call you that, and Hasher really wanted to call you that. And you made a bet with Hasher. You're like, if Hasher can run, I think it was under a 6-minute mile. That's what it was.
I
Right?
remember this.
Hasher
Yo.
was like, if I can run a 6-minute mile, we can call you Brory the Glory, and you got to buy me a personal pizza from Giordano's. That's what it was. And remember, after school,
I do remember that.
yeah, as soon as school ends, you both go outside, and Hasher, you didn't believe he could do it. Hasher runs the lights out. He got just under 6 minutes. So you paid up, and from then on, we only called you Rory. And I think you just got used to it.
I forgot how that whole thing started because you guys called me that for 4 years.
Jeez.
When looking like
Wait, so all it took was a 6-minute mile and a personal pizza to call this man Rory.
yeah, I don't know
I
why.
gave him the pizza. I bought the pizza.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Was there a reason you were so like adamant, like, no, you're not calling me that? Was it like it's just too weird for you, or just like I want respect?
That's the part I don't remember. I don't remember me ever being against it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought you guys just started calling me that, and I don't remember caring that you did that.
Yeah, I remember you at first. You're like, no, you're not doing that. And then after we won Hasher won the bet, we're just like, all right, Brory. We just came in, yo, what's up, Brory?
No, you guys probably overdid it like crazy.
Oh yeah, we only called him that from then on. From that day on, you became enshrined as a CPSA legend. That's exactly.
But it was just your class.
Yeah,
Only
it was
your
just
class
us.
called me that.
That's the crazy part too.
It never caught on to anybody else.
I wanted to ask real quick: do you still play baseball or basketball, like for like recreation purposes, or for fun, or like with your homies and stuff, or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I play like pickup games and rec. I don't play any real organized games. So before everything got shut down, there'd be a group of guys down here in Champaign who would get together on Mondays and play basketball. So I would go and hang out with them. I play a lot with students here. So my students last year, my 8th graders, were huge. They were the starting 5 were 4 guys who were taller than me, who were over 6 foot, and then a point guard who was like 5'7". And I think like 3 of the guys could dunk. So there were some ballers as 8th graders.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so their IQ wasn't great. Like they didn't have a ton of knowledge about basketball, but they had a ton of athleticism and they were good. So playing with them was still fun. So yeah, I still play.
So they'd whoop CPSA kids is what you're saying.
The only thing is, well, I did go back and I told Zaim and Imad that my 8th grade team would beat your varsity team.
What?
More as a joke. we had the size, but I mean they've been playing together for 5 years at CPSA, and they have good basketball IQ.
Yeah, they do.
So I think that they would have won for sure. CPSA would have won.
So you think what do you think is more important than IQ or amazing athleticism?
Well, that Imad's class had both.
Yeah, that's true. They had
They didn't have size. That was the only thing they didn't have.
Well, they had Asa, but he's, even relatively speaking, he's not like, he's what, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, I think he was like 6'3", but he was a huge improvement.
Yeah.
For his first year. I mean, he got a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's their only size.
I remember he came in straight from the Nordic lands, I think. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Dude, I remember like when I first saw Asa, I'm like, this guy's too tall to not be playing basketball. Thankfully he did. But when I got to college, I walked into an office hours for one of my engineering classes. I sit down. There's this kid, no joke, at probably 6'10", 6'11", maybe 7 foot, sitting in there doing circuits. What? You know how mad it is to look at a guy and be like, you could legitimately have a good chance of being in the NBA right now, and you're sitting in here in your engineering office hours, like
making bombs.
Whatever. I don't want to get into it. That was just a stupid rant.
I was waiting for you to tell me like he was one of the starters on the team.
No, dude. I remember. So you're familiar with our basketball team this year, right? Or no? So
a little bit, yeah.
One time.
Wait, is that the team that got clapped by Loyola?
Listen, what?
Killed my bracket.
Yeah, listen. I don't know who you think you are.
And then Loyola ended up getting clapped by a team that. Scrubby. And then Loyola ended up getting clapped by a team that legalized crack in their state.
Yeah.
Or decriminalized. I should say decriminalized.
Decriminalized crack. I think it was Oregon State. Anyway, so one day I was walking on the quad, and this guy, like people are always jogging on the quad, whatever. This guy runs past me. He's huge. And I'm like, bro, that guy's big. Like, that guy should definitely play basketball. Because that's always the first thing that comes to my mind when you see a huge guy. Like, he needs to be playing basketball. I forgot about it. And then I keep walking, and the guy laps me again. I'm like, oh, shit. That's Kofi. and then another day, true story, Kofi sucks at volleyball, okay? One day, I saw him playing volleyball with these random guys on the quad. So it's like, you have Kofi on your team. You need to be able to win. Put him in the front. Let him spike it down. It's easy. He sucked because when he had the ball, he would spike it, but he was so strong, it would just fly. Like, it would go so far out of bounds. And, like, everybody would move out of the way because they didn't want to die either. But, yeah, no, that's my story about that one. So we wanted to talk about your collection of shoes. What got you into it first?
I don't know really. I went to Eastern Illinois, so driving past Tuscola, there's an outlet mall.
Yeah.
So they had a Nike outlet mall there. So I would stop there once a month probably and pick up a new pair of shoes. And I kept doing that for a couple of years. And then I eventually moved from outlet mall to real shoe stores. Yeah, but to disappoint you, I no longer buy expensive Jordans or Nikes, really. I know.
Dang.
This is ridiculous. No,
What's your favorite pair?
My favorite Jordans that I had are still probably the Jordan 1 high tops I had in black and red. And my favorite pair that I never had would probably be maybe the 5s.
Oh, you're talking about the classic ones.
Yeah, I didn't really get into the newer ones.
Those are clean still. The Jordan 5s, you said?
Yeah. I mean, I would, if I found them, I might still get them, but I'm not looking for any shoes. But when I do get shoes, now I'm looking at like some Adidas Boosts just because they're so comfortable and I'm on my feet all the time. So I got like six or seven pair of those. So I moved on from Jordans to Adidas.
Dang, you're not the boy I once knew. This is ridiculous.
Speaking of Jordan, earlier you talked about how you you kind of grew up in that '90s era watching Michael Jordan, and you talk about how spoiled you are and whatnot. I wanted you to kind of touch on that, but also tie that into the Iverson era too, because a lot of people talk about people wanting to be like Mike, but then they also talk about how Allen Iverson was kind of changing the culture. And you were, I mean, you're old enough to live through both times, so I want you to kind of talk about both those guys.
Yeah, for me, I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I don't even think it's a real debate. So growing up watching them, being spoiled of Bulls culture and just watching them win all the time. Uh, but I mean, he could do anything. He could score on anybody. He was a top defender every year. He was just a winner.
Yeah.
So we had that. And then going into Iverson, and it's funny that you mentioned it because my first Bulls game I ever went to was against the 76ers. And I asked my dad, I was like, who's even on the Sixers? And he said, there's this guy, Allen Iverson. I was like, okay. And he's turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yo,
So it's funny that you brought him up because the transition was he was MJ like in the sense that he wasn't afraid to go against anybody, being 6 feet tall on a good day. Some people said he was only 5'11, but he would drive, he would be a scoring champion. I mean, he wasn't afraid of anybody at that height. And that's just crazy to me. And then you have his handling. So like one of your questions I saw was like, who did I model my game after?
Yeah.
And the first thought was like, I really didn't have one person that I looked up to, but the only person I could think of was Allen Iverson because we were similar height.
Yeah.
He could just score on anybody and his handling was unreal. So
yeah.
like, that's what I wanted to achieve eventually. Obviously I would never get there, but like just watching him, he was a whole different energy like that nobody really saw before.
Who do you think is a better ball handler, Kyrie or AI?
I was just about to ask that. That's a really good question.
Because it seems like as we go on in the years, more people are unanimously just choosing Kyrie. But when you look at Allen Iverson's just training and the way he used to practice dribbling, it's insane. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think for all sports, it's like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
And
recency
that's why
bias.
there's always the debate of, is Kobe better than Jordan? And then is it LeBron better than Jordan? Because like those people are fresh in your mind. So you see Kyrie, who's amazing. Yes. Is he better than late 90s, early 2000s Iverson? I don't think so.
What about his handles?
I would still take Iverson. I think
Okay.
I would still take Iverson.
Okay. I
Yeah,
wanted to.
I agree because both handles they're different. Kyrie's a lot more flashy. It's a lot more kind of show and go. Iverson's 1-2 quick, get to the rim, 1-2 quick, bust a move.
Yeah.
Kyrie's more like let me just have some fun, dance around, and then take my shot or get to the lane. You know.
Right. Like I'm going to agree with that because Iverson's goal was to score. He wanted to get those points and he just used the handles to get to those baskets where the guys now is like, look at me dribble for 10 seconds and then throw the ball up. Like I'm going to take a three or try to pass it between somebody's legs. It's like, this isn't and one mixtape. This isn't Harlem Globetrotters. Like if you're going to dribble like that, do it for a purpose, you know?
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Kyrie. He's a great player, but I think as far as handles, like there's a reason for it and it's to score.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I wanted to segue this into familiarizing you with some of our podcast slander. Okay.
Ooh,
Who players I like to slander in particular. Number one, Bill Russell. The reason is
that's what I said. That's exactly the face I made when he
hold
started.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Everybody need to chill out. Everyone need to chill out.
He said,
Everyone,
"Chill out, chill out." And Hannah says, "Chill out."
check me out, check me out, check me out. All right. I just think that if we are going to be hyping up Bill Russell as much as we do, we need to be hyping up Wilt Chamberlain more than him. And here's why. I think Wilt Chamberlain was clearly an overall better player from top to bottom, everything. But two, Bill Russell had Hall of Famers on his bench. On his bench. And he obviously was going to win all these championships in like what, a 7-team NBA. Do you think Bill Russell is overhyped? And do you think it should have been Wilt Chamberlain is the guy we look at, be like, yo, this is up the most upper echelon player that it got back then was Wilt?
I must be talking to different people than you because I don't have anybody putting Wilt down, first of all.
But like,
But
no one ever talks about him. Everyone talks about Bill Russell, dude. It's all about him. It's insane.
Well, he has 11 rings. It's hard to say anything bad about that. Like, yeah, he had good teams, but I mean, you can't get 11 rings on accident.
Jimmy, and also, let me just throw this out there. I don't know if you knew this or not, but he is going to be in the Hall of Fame twice.
I didn't know
He's
that.
going to be. He's
He's
a first ballot Hall of Famer this year as a coach. So he'll be in the Hall of Fame twice technically.
Listen,
once as a coach and once as a player.
all I'm saying is that Wilt, his stats are so absurd. Bill Russell averaged like 11 points a game for his career. Let's just talk, like, what?
Listen, you and I both know that comparing eras isn't appropriate. 11 points back then, God knows.
Compared to what, 35 by Wilt? Like,
look at the competition, look at the eras, all that stuff.
But
yeah, why are you comparing those two?
Why am I comparing those two in specific? Because those were always the two players being compared to back then, and everybody used to skip Wilt in the MVP conversation. And like when you put yourself in their shoes and give them the recency bias, obviously Bill Russell's team does better, which is why he had more MVP nods. But I don't see why. Like, I don't get it when it's clear like Wilt was just so much better. I don't know.
Who was Wilt playing against?
About the same. They were playing around the same players, weren't they?
Yeah, a bunch of 5'5" white guys.
Yeah. So was Bill Russell, and he only scored 11 points a game. That's why I'm like, second question is, do you believe that Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game was real?
Yeah, I believe it was real. But
what do you think was harder then? His 100 points or Kobe's 81?
Kobe's 81.
No, but you have to think about this though. Well, I'm not saying Kobe's 81 was not like.
Are you going from like trashing Bill Russell to trashing Kobe?
No. I'm saying I'm trying to prove that like this 100 points doesn't even seem plausible, because back then they didn't take threes, and I don't know how long their games were. If we just assume it's 48 minutes, you have to take how many shots and make how many shots a minute without taking any threes and still score 100 points. Whereas Kobe obviously had to shoot like a lot of threes, and he scored like the whole game from beginning to end and only got to 81. I don't know. It just doesn't seem possible to me. What? Do I not bring up a fair point?
Well, that's why it hasn't been done again.
You mean it was a high-scoring game too? You need to remember that. It was 169 to 147. It was a very high-scoring game.
Whatever. Next person I wanted to familiarize.
Your boy. This is your boy right here, Jameer. I already know you're going to say Jerry West.
Jerry West. Have you ever seen Jerry West dribble a basketball? Mr. Wallace, on God, you versus Jerry West on-1, you'd have the man falling on his ankles. Have you seen how he dribbles the basketball?
Are you talking about the logo?
Do you hear the slander that I got to deal with every single week?
Have you, dude?
This man,
if you saw this man dribbling in tryouts, you'd be like, he can shoot. But I don't know if I'd have him bringing up the ball. This man
has been shit talking the logo and shit
talking.
Like
this, bro.
Shit talking one of the greatest players in NBA history.
Head down, only dribbles with one hand. Even when he's running right, he dribbles with his left hand, pulls up from the corner of the free throw line every time, and scores 60 points. What are you talking about?
What the hell?
Do you think he's making D1 today?
Oh my God.
Jerry West.
Yes.
What? Why?
His skill set was for that era.
Thank you.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I love how that one answer was Jimmy was like, okay,
That's
okay,
but
after
the
his
thing is like
entire like spiel.
no, but the thing is I think he gets overhyped as well. I think almost like a lot of the players from the era get overhyped as well. I think the only two players who deserve the minimum recognition would be Wilt and Bill Russell. But like I look at Jerry West and I go like, bro, how?
They did what they knew. Like you can't compare them to today's players or even 90s players because that wasn't the game. Like you've seen that, so you know what it could look like. You know the possibility of a Kyrie or an Allen Iverson, and then you compare him to somebody who played way before that and didn't have to do that flashy stuff to win games.
Yeah.
If he had to, he probably could have.
And also remember too, Jimmy, without getting into the science too, is like athleticism has developed. People's bodies have gotten bigger, stronger, faster, more agile too. I completely understand what you mean, but it's like, my guy, he's a logo for a reason. They're not just
Well,
gonna give it to some white guy who can't dribble with his left hand just because he's a white dude or something.
whatever, man. I got frustrated looking at him, just like I cannot believe this.
Would he, with his skill set then,
Yeah.
be a D1 or NBA player today? No. Do I think he would have developed those skills to be that player? Yes.
Okay. All right. I like that answer. Um, I want to go to some absurd thing I saw today. There was this Instagram page that was posting about an article that they had read, and the title of the article was "Allen Iverson is the worst MVP since 2000." Okay, and I thought that was interesting. But then the guy in his caption, he said, "I disagree with the title. I actually think it's Derrick Rose." Now, I thought that was interesting. Who do you think the worst MVP was since 2000? And then do you think Derrick Rose deserved his MVP over prime LeBron?
Um, I've never been a huge Derrick Rose fan,
Really?
but yes, I think he was the MVP that season.
Okay.
So let me
Who do you
look
think?
up all MVPs since 2000 because I don't have that information off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's what
wanted
I'm looking at too.
what I wanted to ask while looking up is the final slander, Steve Nash. Steve Nash never averaged over 20 points in his career. He never made it to an NBA Finals, but yet he has more MVPs than Kobe.
Oh my
Do you
god.
think he deserved 2 MVPs while Kobe only got one? Given that when he did win, I think they were like 61 seasons, he was first in the West, but he never ever did anything.
Don't just brush that off like it's not a big deal in the West because the West was hella competitive back
Yeah,
then.
but he never
Hella
did
competitive.
anything. When you compare that to Kobe, compared to Kobe, I'm just saying I'm specifically comparing it to Kobe. That's why.
You have to look at the whole stat line. It's not just scoring. They have a scoring champion. And was Steve Nash a scoring champion? No. But he, as a point guard, a great passer, high basketball IQ. He was just a leader on the court, not taking that away from Kobe. Obviously, Kobe was a great leader on the court too.
Yeah.
But Steve Nash was a great basketball player.
Also,
You know
keep
what?
in mind, Jamil, you and I both know how dirty the refs were back then. I can't speak on now because like it's not out in the public, but we all know how dirty and what's his name, Donnie came out and said during that time they were fixing games. So keep that in mind too.
That's true. I don't know. Listen, Steve Nash was obviously a great player. I'm not saying that. He's arguably the second best ball distributor of all time. Maybe the first, like arguably first or second. Um,
Who was your top two? John Stockton?
yeah, John Stockton. Probably him, number one. Um, but I still think since 2000, he might be the worst MVP, especially considering who he went up against. And I do think Derrick Rose is low on that list. I think he's like pretty close on that list too. Like Derrick Rose is amazing, my favorite player of all time. And they were first in the East. But like, I don't know, like his numbers, it didn't do much. I don't know. What do you think, Mr. Wallace? Have you been able to come to a consensus on the worst MVP?
That's a tough one. I think I would have to take a little bit of time to come up with something. But Steve Nash, looking just at the very basic stat lines, is the only MVP both seasons that he got MVP to average double-digit assists since Magic Johnson in 1990.
Oh, shit.
So assists is a big deal too.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Did John Stockton? Oh no, John Stockton was never an MVP.
Yeah, he had some guys in Jordan that kept.
That's
But
true.
Karl Malone, 97 MVP.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I guess now since we're probably reaching the final stretch, we wanted to do a draft of the best coaches to play in the NBA, just the best coaches of all time, or any coaches that you thought were good at basketball. I put a link down there. We're gonna do a snake draft. So it's BRORYYY, me, Ibrahim, and then Ibrahim, me, BRORYYY. So when it comes back to BRORYYY, he'll get 2 picks.
Wait, do they have to be NBA coaches?
No, they can be
Or
anything.
They can be any coach, right?
Yeah.
For basketball.
Oh man, I thought you were talking about just NBA coaches.
It can be,
No.
it can be whoever you want.
Well, that changes my whole draft.
That changes
Really?
a lot. Yeah, dude, there are a lot of former NBA players who are coaching college ball.
Patrick Ewing.
I'm not gonna give up my list, but yeah.
That's true. I mean, yeah, you can extend it to them. Like if they're coaches and they're balling, yeah, sure.
All right. Just based on this conversation, my first pick, Steve Nash.
Oh, I thought you were gonna pick. I thought you were gonna pick the Big Russ, Mr. 11 Rings himself, Mr. Second best player in his era.
Why don't you draft him and draft Jerry West too?
Oh no, I'm picking someone way better than Bill Russell. I'm picking someone way better than Jerry West. BRORYYY the Glory, baby, let's go.
He's not whatever.
He played against Evan Turner. It's pretty much NBA.
Okay, that's fine.
He's locking up Jerry West. What the hell are you talking about? He's gonna lock him up. Mr. Wallace knows how to dribble with 2 hands. Mr. Wallace knows to crossover. Mr. Wallace can pull up farther than the corner of the free throw line.
Not if Rick's brother takes his shoe, bro.
It's true. My kryptonite.
All right.
Like Mr. Wallace is a way bigger bag than Jerry West did. What are you talking about?
I'm taking Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, I was gonna pick him.
The coach from Memphis. And Maurice Cheeks, I don't want to take him, but I see him on the list. I got a funny Maurice Cheeks story. Well, it's too long, so I'm not gonna give it. Magic Johnson was a coach? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Magic Johnson was a coach? I did not know this.
Let me see.
He was a coach. 93, 94. For who?
6 games.
Oh, for the Lakers? Oh, wow.
5-11 record.
Dang.
Don't want him.
Every time he went on the Lakers, he just quit so fast. Even as like was it GM he was? Something like that.
All right. I'm going to take, so Penny Hardaway, I'm going to take Bill Russell just because he's going to be one of the only bigs, I feel like.
Low-key, I was going to pick him.
Me too. I would have taken him first if I didn't have to get that Steve Nash in there.
I don't think anyone was thinking of Steve Nash.
I'm gonna take the hick from French Lick. Larry Legend.
Larry Bird.
It's a good one.
Yeah. All right, now you get 2 picks, Mr. Wallace.
I shouldn't have started with a point guard. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna go Steve Kerr.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a solid pickup. So far, you got 2 Steves.
I'm gonna have a whole team of Steves and white guys. Oof. My next one, I think I'm gonna go Doc Rivers.
Ooh.
Oh. The Doc.
All right. I'm gonna go Patrick Ewing.
What team does he coach for?
Dude, obviously, I know that he is the coach.
Sean?
Georgetown. Yeah. He played for Georgetown, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He said, all right.
All right, there we go.
I'm going to go with Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale, man,
Oh, you missed out on that big man.
deserves. to
That's
still
who I was
be-
picking next.
Bro, he deserves to be in the league, man. I remember watching him as a coach for the Rockets, and they were getting crushed, and he was still like motivating his players, and I was like, damn, you're getting blown out by 40, and you're still like calm and like telling your guys like, yo, let's get back into it. This is the playoffs too. Man still doesn't have a job. Damn, I got a fire lineup. All right, I'm gonna go with. Let's go with J Kidd.
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna go I'm going Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy played.
Why did you go with Fred Hoiberg, bro?
Fred Hoiberg. Freddie Buckets?
Bro, he played for the Timberwolves, bro. He's a sharpshooter, bro. Killer.
Sharpshooter. All right. Now it's up to you, Mr. Wallace.
I'm gonna go Bill Cartwright, just because I need some size.
You know what? Let me throw you a bone here. What's the white dude that played? If you want to keep the all, you have Doc Rivers. What's the dude that played for the Pistons? The big dude, big white guy.
Lander?
Yeah, he's a coach in the WNBA. So I don't know if you want to.
Actually, my next one was gonna be Phil Jackson.
Ooh.
I low-key was gonna sleep. I thought you guys were sleeping on. I was about to steal that one.
I'm gonna take oh well, you have two picks, right? You picked Phil.
Yeah, he
your
got-
second pick?
Yeah, I got them both.
Yeah, you
Okay.
got it.
I'm taking Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas is a coach.
Yeah, it says here he was for
He
just
was
a
also-
year.
I think he was also a GM too for the Raptors at one point. He helped build the franchise in the beginning, I think.
Oh, really?
If I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna go Jerry Stackhouse.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know he coached either.
Yeah, he coaches in college. I don't know what team though. He coaches for Vanderbilt.
What was he gonna say? Have we all picked 5 then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, as my 6th man, I'm picking Mr. Lennon.
Left-handed.
Okay. What are the lineups looking like?
All right, Rory, you got Steve Nash, Steve Kerr, Doc Rivers, Bill Cartwright, Phil Jackson. I don't know how the hell that team's gonna work.
The Steves.
Y'all got
Steves.
3 guards.
I forgot we were only doing 5.
The thing is, that team is only gonna be passing. They're just gonna keep passing to each other.
No, you want it. No, you want it. No, you get it. No, you get
They're gonna throw a
Jackie
lob and skip.
Moon.
it.
Jackie-
For real, Jackie Moon.
They're gonna throw a lob and completely miss.
Jimmy, you got Larry Bird, Mr. Wallace, Patrick
sir.
Ewing, Jeff Van Gundy, Isaiah Thomas, and then you got Mr. Lennon coming off the bench.
Bro, dude, Mr. Wallace is gonna be locking up Jerry West, blocking his shit.
Nobody drafted
Nobody
Jerry
has
West.
Jerry West.
Yeah,
I thought
so
you
I don't
picked him
know why
first.
you keep saying that. Nobody drafted Jerry West.
Thank God, bro. Thank God.
You're gonna take me
Uh,
and Van Gundy. That's a
Yeah,
worse
I don't
team
know.
than mine for sure.
I don't know what the hell you were thinking you drafted Jeff Van Gundy.
Dude, Jeff Van Gundy was a dog, bro.
Wait, is that the one who's the current coach or is that the commentator?
Well, he
Oh,
used to
Stan-
coach.
Stan-
He used to coach. What's his name? The Rockets. Oh my God, why am I
I think
forgetting
he
his
used to.
name?
I think he used to coach the Knicks, but never mind. I'm thinking of Stan Van Gundy.
Well,
who's
Stan
the
Van
current
Gundy used to
coach?
coach the Pistons.
Yeah, he's the coach of the Pelicans right now. And then I got Penny Hardaway, Bill Russell, Kevin McHale, Jason Kidd, Jerry Stackhouse. I mean, y'all ain't messing with my team. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a clear win right there.
So aside from BRORYYY, ain't no one messing with my squad. I'm just saying.
Jeff Van Gundy used to coach T-Mac as well, and Yao Ming.
Oh, he used to coach the Rockets.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Sure.
Mr. Wallace, as the podcast comes to an end, you have anything you want to say to the people, anything you want to let the people know, anything you got going on in your life?
I don't have a whole lot. I mean, other than work, I moved on doing some more golf.
Okay.
Weather's getting good enough for that. So
Yeah.
you're down here in Champaign. So anybody who's down here in Champaign, let's go play some golf. It's outside. We'll be socially distanced.
Okay. All right, bet. Hit Mr. Wallace up. He's undefeated in golf, never lost a game in his life. That was amazing.
We'll drop his address in the comment section below. So you
Yeah,
guys
we'll
can,
drop his address. Maybe his social security too. I'm gonna see. I don't know. I have to talk about. I haven't talked to him about that part. I should probably.
Go ahead and raise up my credit.
Yeah, raise up his credit score. Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for being on. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Climate Podcast. Good night.